pizza pie. Take one bite and you'll say it too. In fact, take one bite of anything they cook at Stoner's Pizza Joint and they've got you. You'll immediately taste the difference because they make their dough daily, use only the finest cheese and top quality meats. Stoner's even cuts their vegetables fresh every day. Combine all that on the crisp crust taste of a stone oven, and in between bites you'll say, "Oh my, what a pizza pie!" Stoner's Pizza Joint, Forsyth Road, Macon, and Houston Lake Road, Warner Robins.
Planning on a holiday party with friends, family, or coworkers? Texas Border Grill's private banquet room offers seating from 5 to 55. Lunch to dinner 7 days a week. Featuring an amazing menu with aged beef, seafood, and so many other signature dishes. Texas Border Grill.
Hey folks, Russell from Gridiron Game of the Week. When you get ready to buy a new car or a newer automobile, there's always the dilemma of what to do with your current car. Well, that's where You Park 'Em, You Sell 'Em at 3306 Vineville Avenue comes in. You Park 'Em, You Sell 'Em is the original automobile dealership with the owner in mind. For 18 years, You Park 'Em, You Sell 'Em has been the only alternative to giving your car to a local dealer on a trade-in or trying to market your car yourself. So when you get ready to sell your old car, give them a call today at 254-6310. That's You Park 'Em, You Sell 'Em, 3306 Vineville Avenue. Hey folks, every now and then we're a little tight on cash. Well, if you're tight on cash, we want to encourage you to visit Pawn Max Incorporated, located at 2404 Pinona Avenue. Pawn Max is the place to get a loan or sell your valuables, hassle-free, making it easy to turn your unwanted gold, jewelry, tools, even firearms into cash. Why let your pieces collect dust when you need to collect dollars? They're licensed and insured and will give you the best money for your items. Go visit them today at 2404 Pinona Avenue right here in Macon, or visit them online at pawnmaxinc.com. It's football time in Middle Georgia, and that means it's time for the Macon Touchdown Club. Join us this year as we kick off our 72nd year at the Methodist Children's Home at 304 Pierce Avenue each and every Monday night. Come join us for a night filled of football fun and fellowship. We kick it off September the 11th. The Macon Touchdown Club, honoring student athletes since 1946. To find out more, log on to MaconTouchdownClub.com. Hey folks, it's Russell from Gridiron Game of the Week. You know, there comes a time when we all start to look for a brand new or even a newer automobile, and as a consumer, your choices have always been limited as to where to shop, and secondly, what to do with your current car. Take it to the local dealer and trade it in for wholesale, ride around town with that ugly for sale sign in the back window, or park it in your driveway and hope somebody stops by and they're really there to look at your car. Well, that's where the fine folks at You Park 'Em, You Sell 'Em at 3306 Vineville Avenue in Macon come in. You Park 'Em, You Sell 'Em is the original automobile dealership with the owner in mind. For almost 18 years, You Park 'Em, You Sell 'Em has been the alternative to giving your car away to the local dealer on a trade-in or trying to market the car yourself. The professional staff at You Park 'Em, You Sell 'Em has 35 years of experience in the automobile industry, and they're there solely to help you through the process of selling or buying your next car. If you have a car and you're ready to sell it, let the folks at You Park 'Em, You Sell 'Em show you how to maximize your vehicle's marketing and financial potential today. You Park 'Em, You Sell 'Em, the car lot for you. Remember folks, don't just park it, sell it. Give them a call today, 478-254-6310. That's You Park 'Em, You Sell 'Em.
Before you
Good Thursday evening and welcome in to another edition of Gridiron Gab. We are live from Stoner's Pizza on Forsyth Road. I am Russell Deese, and my sidekick tonight is Brett Barron. You know him better as BB Dog from Dog Deck Live every Saturday on Facebook. And we're glad to have you with us here because it's, guess what? The oldest rivalry in the South weekend. That means it's Georgia-Florida weekend. We got a lot of fun things to talk about tonight. We'll look at a little bit at the high school playoffs that are coming up because we do have a lot of Macon Middle Georgia teams involved in those playoffs. We'll also look back at last week's game. We'll talk about the pick'em contest last week, and I'm going to start with this. Brett, good to have you here, brother.
Thank you, sir. Glad to be here. Glad to be here.
Excited about the end of
I've got to correct you because you said Georgia, Florida. It's Georgia, Auburn.
It's Georgia, Auburn. I still thinking Georgia.
I know.
I want y'all thinking Georgia, Florida.
Yeah, okay, I see that. I see where that's going, yeah, okay.
All right, so last week we had Alabama and LSU as our pick'em contest, and I told you guys, you got to listen to me. Saban's played them 11 times. His average score is 22.5 points. LSU is 17.5. There have been 3 overtime games in that series. Nobody plays Nick Saban like LSU, and I don't care if Charlie Brown is coaching them. But last week, it's a 24-10 final. The closest I had in that game, somebody picked Alabama 26, 27, 28 to nothing or something like that. All the rest of you thought they were going to go into Tuscaloosa and get blowed out, 38 to nothing, 48 to 3, something like that. Well, that didn't happen. So we didn't have a winner in last week's Pick'em contest. So this week we're going to have to double it up, Brett. So
The old doubleheader's coming back.
A doubleheader. We've only had to do that twice this year.
That's right.
So y'all get your football hat on and think about these things. We'll do a little research. So here's the Pick'em contest this week. We've got Notre Dame, one loss to Georgia to start the season.
Killer game coming up.
Against undefeated Miami, and Miami's creeping around that college football playoff. Notre Dame is right in there. That's our one Pick'em. Our number two Pick'em, what else could it be? The oldest rivalry in the South, Georgia and Florida. So we're going to go take our first break of the night. When we come back, we're going to get into the nuts and bolts of the Auburn Tigers and the Georgia Bulldogs. You're listening to Gridiron Gab live on a Thursday night from Stoner's Pizza on Forsyth Road. Hey, it's wet and cold outside. What a better way to spend the evening than to come in and enjoy some pizza.
Get a hot pizza. Yeah, absolutely,
pizza.
absolutely.
You already ordered one.
Yep,
All right,
yep.
we'll be back after this time out.
Put your company logo or event name on the streets? Say it with authority. Apparel Authority. Now at a new location off Eisenhower Parkway across from Lowe's. Shirts, hats, cups, pens, patches. We put your logo on almost anything. Our team provides quality craftsmanship and custom embroidery. And our screen printing will turn your design into wearable works of art. Call or stop by in person for a quote. Apparel Authority. Now at a new location off Eisenhower Parkway across from Lowe's.
This just in. A large storm in the Gulf has all but decimated the entire Gulf shrimping industry, with the exception of a lone shrimping boat manned by a legless veteran and a young gentleman that hasn't stopped waving at our cameras or telling us his mama's advice. Odd. In completely unrelated news, Kudzu Seafood Company, the authentic Gulf Coast seafood restaurant that brought the coast to Middle Georgia, has also cornered the shrimp market in Central Georgia. Barbecue shrimp and cheese grits, buffalo shrimp, firecracker shrimp tacos, shrimp po' boys, shrimp burgers, shrimp baskets, and Dr. Pepper, all on 3rd Street in downtown Macon. Stay tuned for more breaking news.
Join us Monday night at the Methodist Children's Home on Pierce Avenue as the Macon Touchdown Club continues its 72nd season of honoring student athletes. Our program will begin at 6:30 with our dinner soon to follow. Our guest speaker this week is none other than former University of Georgia All-American and ESPN analyst Matt Stitzcomb. That's Monday night, November the 6th at the Methodist Children's Home. It's the Macon Touchdown Club. We'll see you on Monday night. For more information, just log on to MaconTouchdownClub.com.
Oh my, what a pizza pie! Take one bite and you'll say it too. In fact, take one bite of anything they cook at Stoner's Pizza Joint and they've got you. You'll immediately taste the difference because they make their dough daily. Use only the finest cheese and top quality meats. Stoner's even cuts their vegetables fresh every day. Combine all that on the crisp crust taste of a stone oven, and in between bites you'll say, oh my, what a pizza pie! Stoner's Pizza Joint, Forsyth Road, Macon, and Houston Lake Road, Warner Robins.
Planning on a holiday party with friends, family, or coworkers? Texas Border Grill's private banquet room offers seating from 5 to 55. Lunch to dinner 7 days a week. Featuring an amazing menu with aged beef, seafood, and so many other signature dishes. Texas Border Grill.
Hey folks, Russell from Gridiron Game of the Week. When you get ready to buy a new car or a newer automobile, there's always the dilemma of what to do with your current car. Well, that's where You Park 'Em, You Sell 'Em at 3306 Vineville Avenue comes in. You Park 'Em, You Sell 'Em is the original automobile dealership with the owner in mind. For 18 years, You Park 'Em, You Sell 'Em has been the only alternative to giving your car to a local dealer on a trade-in or trying to market your car yourself. So when you get ready to sell your old car, give them a call today at 254-6310. That's You Park 'Em, You Sell 'Em, 3306 Vineville Avenue. Hey folks, every now and then we're a little tight on cash. Well, if you're tight on cash, we want to encourage you to visit Pawn Max Incorporated, located at 2404 Pinona Avenue. Pawn Max is the place to get a loan or sell your valuables, hassle-free, making it easy to turn your unwanted gold, jewelry, tools, even firearms into cash. Why let your pieces collect dust when you need to collect dollars? They're licensed and insured and will give you the best money for your items. Go visit them today at 2404 Pinona Avenue right here in Macon, or visit them online at pawnmaxinc.com. It's football time in Middle Georgia, and that means it's time for the Macon Touchdown Club. Join us this year as we kick off our 72nd year at the Methodist Children's Home at 304 Pierce Avenue each and every Monday night. Come join us for a night filled of football fun and fellowship. We kick it off September the 11th. The Macon Touchdown Club, honoring student athletes since 1946. To find out more, log on to MaconTouchdownClub.com. Hey, folks. And welcome back on a Thursday night as we are live with you here tonight. Russell Deese along with Brett Barron. All right, let's talk a little bit about last week's game, starting with Georgia and South Carolina. Really the first time this year I felt like outside of the Notre Dame game that you got challenged a little bit by a defensive football team.
Oh, yeah. I mean, every game's been a blowout. Wow.
Yeah, you're
And I was thinking about that after the game. I was like, well, what do you think? 24-10. It was kind of ironic how the Alabama same score, LSU.
Yeah.
24-10. But
right.
Anyway, we had over 400 yards offense. South Carolina, I think, is a pretty good football team.
I think they've gotten better, and even though they've lost some people with Deebo Samuel, who was their number one playmaker, and you might want to – that might help you hear yourself just a little better.
A little bit. I'm deaf anyway.
But the thing that I came away from that game was two things from South Carolina's standpoint. Obviously, they don't have the same athletes that Georgia does. Yeah, I think Muschamp is recruiting talent over there.
Right.
But they're very young, year two for him as well, too. And obviously, I feel like the cupboard was a lot more bare for him stepping in than it was for Kirby.
Oh, absolutely.
And there's no doubt about that.
But, they played tough. I mean,
they did play tough.
They loaded the box, which, of course, y'all are going to do Saturday.
Right.
No doubt about it. And
both teams are going to do Saturday.
Yeah, you're exactly right. We'll get into that a little later. But
right.
They loaded the box. When Fromm had to throw, he made two touchdowns were spectacular catches getting their foot in the end zone, number one. But
both the catches.
That little run that Sony went up the middle and got stuffed and Fromm threw that block. Man, I said, this is the guy who wants to win this. He wants to win everything.
Yeah.
He's got the it factor, what I call it.
Well, here my takeaway from that game. I thought South Carolina was in the game. To me it had a different feel when South Carolina was playing you close as opposed to Missouri playing you when it got tied up.
Right.
You had to be, as a Georgia fan, just a tad more nervous about South Carolina than you were Missouri that night. And here's why I say that. The problem I saw from South Carolina that night, they struggled to convert on third down on offense, and I don't care if Georgia had 3rd and 1 or 3rd and 13, they couldn't get off the field on defense against you. I told a friend of mine that's neutral. He doesn't, he's a Ohio State fan. He said, I felt like that if South Carolina's defense could have made some third down stops, that game might have been a little closer. He's like me. He didn't think South Carolina was going to beat Georgia, but I think that might have brought up some more nerves if they were able to do that. They were not. Georgia converted. That's what it's all about.
Right. And, again, we had over 400 yards of offense. They moved the ball, too, at times, but when the stops were made, they were made.
Yeah, the Bentley kid is going to be the real deal.
There's no question. We talked about him, 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, I mean, we got 2 more years of watching this guy play college football. And I think if he gets Muschamp, gets a supporting cast around him, South Carolina has an opportunity to make some noise in the East. Georgia's already making their noise in the East. It may be irrelevant. It may be kind of like in the West with Alabama. It's going to be Georgia dominating the next 5-10 years over in the East. The team in the East that I see today that to me is playing better is South Carolina. And the other team to me, surprisingly, is playing better too is Missouri.
Oh, they're coming on.
They
play.
And they've got a great kid at quarterback.
Oh, he can sling it. Hey.
Yeah.
You're talking about slinging all over the yard. Drew Lock can sling the football. As we found out ourselves.
Yeah, he's leading the conference in passing right now. I think he leads statistically in every stat except for maybe efficiency or percentage completion, but he's right, and he's at the top on completion percentage too. But and I think Fromm could probably be there. He's just not throwing enough to get into the stats yet.
Yeah, I think he has the best, what do they call it, QBR, the rating or whatever.
Actually, the kid from Missouri does.
Okay.
He leads in every category now.
I got you. Okay.
But
Let me throw this trivia out there. We were listening on sports radio coming home yesterday. of the top 4 teams, and they've been the same 2 playoff
Right.
roles in a row.
Right.
No starting quarterback for any of those 4 teams is averaging over 200 yards a game. Is that unbelievable? That means they're running the ball and they're playing defense.
And guess what that formula leads to? Winning.
Championships.
Always
Absolutely.
winning.
Absolutely.
And, before you get to championships, get to the regular season, and that's how you do it.
That's right.
It's you look back through the years, and you go back to listen. You go back to 1980 with the Herschel Walker years. Georgia had great defenses back then.
Gosh.
You
That was the junkyard.
you go back and look. Everybody talks about Steve Spurrier throwing the football all over the place, slinging Steve. You know what Steve Spurrier's best years were? When he ran the football and played defense. When he had Eric Rett and some of those other guys that were the running backs there. His best years was when he ran the football. Now, he was balanced.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
But his best years.
With Rhett, I think it was Shane Matthews. Oh, they were unbelievable.
They were.
As a matter of fact, he was on the sports radio I was listening. That's all I listen to anymore.
Yeah, and
he was talking about, you got to run the football. I mean, fun and gun. I think he called it fun and gun.
That's right.
But, I mean,
Well, and Florida continues their nightmare. I mean, to go to Missouri and get beat 45-7.
We talk about dumpster fires on the show, but that's the biggest dumpster fire.
Yeah, Randy Shannon is not going to get the job at Florida. Bellama at Arkansas.
He's gone.
They were down by 2 touchdowns to Coastal Carolina going into the fourth quarter. Coastal Carolina.
1 point.
Yeah, Coastal Carolina. This is their first year playing FBS football. Up until last year and this year, they were playing FCS like Mercer.
Right. You know what they're famous for? Dustin Johnson, the golfer.
Yeah, they were well, and a beautiful campus and all the rest of it.
I know that.
But they were 1-7 coming into that football game. Now he goes to Ole Miss the week before that and kicks a field goal after being down 35-7. I think he was down 28 points, something like that. It comes back on the road at Ole Miss, kicks a field goal, wins the game, miraculous. Comes back in, he's in Fayetteville, Arkansas, and you're losing for 3.5 quarters to Coastal Carolina. How do you keep your job? I don't understand.
You don't.
Here's the problem. Who wants to come to Arkansas?
Well, that's what they're talking about.
Yeah.
But the carousel, dude, of him, Butch, Michael Wayne, there's going to be so many openings. I mean, where are these schools going to go get people? You know what I'm saying?
That's the question.
You're going to have to go to the MAC. You're going to have to go to other conferences big time, man.
Are you going to have to roll the dice like Georgia did with an assistant?
Exactly.
Coordinator,
or either go to the MAC or either these lesser conferences. There's no doubt about it.
Right. I mean, where these? Here's what's going to happen. Is somebody going to come in and look at Jeremy Pruitt and say, "Oh, they did it with Kirby. Look, Jeremy Pruitt's putting up the same number as Kirby. That's our guy."
Right. Exactly.
I don't know. Nobody.
It's a crapshoot, dude. It's a crapshoot. I'm telling you.
Listen, I agree 100% with you. Okay, so of course Auburn was off last. They went to Texas A&M, won their game. Let's talk a little bit about Alabama and LSU. I kind of poked fun at all you guys picking last week because that's always a defensive game, and it was again last week. I thought LSU up front manned up with Alabama's offensive front. Listen, I think Orgeron's got them turned around along the defensive side of the ball. I think the key piece missing for LSU, once again, is quarterback. Is Danny Etling an SEC prototype guy? I don't think he is.
No, and I had the pleasure of riding around this week with a son of a owner of our company, which is they're big LSU fans. He said a lot of the same things. But I think he made the point. I didn't watch a whole lot of that game, but I think LSU had more yards in the game.
Yeah, they actually had more. Offense. Yes, they did. They had more yards than Alabama.
And I think your key on that Edling is they got to find a QB, and he's talking about they want a dual threat QB. So
Well, I don't. They're shopping around, and Tennessee. We'll go back up to that dumpster fire. Tennessee has lost their freshman quarterback. He's out. Butch Jones came out and said it's a game-time decision. Anybody listening to Butch Jones anymore? And then they lose the Cabe kid, the offensive lineman that has decommitted. I think his grandfather and father both played for Tennessee. I know Georgia fans got excited about him. He was at the Georgia-South Carolina game.
Big boy.
He's a huge kid.
Huge.
But you can be rest assured there's some other people coming after him.
There are.
Yeah, because everybody backed off him. They just assumed he was going to Tennessee. As soon as that kid said, I'm decommitting,
everybody's back.
The phone blew up.
Right,
promise
vultures, the recruiting vultures. Absolutely.
That's it.
And they barely beat Southern Miss, right? Tennessee last
Yes,
year.
yes. I think that was a 7-point ball game.
Man.
Yeah. Well, listen,
The SEC is
Georgia, Alabama, and Auburn lived through Brett Favre beating them. So, I mean, Southern Miss, it's not like they're I know it's a different era back then, but I remember they beat all of us in one year and beat a couple of us back-to-back years.
I remember the name of that coach. He was a great coach.
That was
somebody.
he's related to the Bowdens. He's married to one of the Bowdens, Jeff Bowers.
That's it.
Jeff Bowers. Yeah, he was a good coach. Had a son that was killed in an accident or something. Remember there was a.
Yeah.
I remember when that happened. Now, God, that's a long time ago.
It is a long time ago.
All right, so a lot to talk about. None of you won the pick'em contest last week. Great job, fantastic. But that don't matter. You make up for it this week. So let's go over the prizes again. And first of all, we want to thank some of our sponsors. Obviously, Stoner's Pizza. You park them, you sell them. The Car Lot for you. We want to thank Apparel Authority, the official clothier of the DSBN broadcast crew. Each and every week, Apparel Authority, and it doesn't matter if you need hats, T-shirts, embroidery, special events, things for your company. They can do it. So give Apparel Authority a call. They gave us some great hats and T-shirts. And if you'll ever decide to win a picking contest, you can get one of those. But we also want to thank Bill Harden Music. They're going to be giving away a choice of acoustic or electric guitar. We want to thank Cherokee Brick and Tile. Hey, they're going to give away a $1,000 Big Green Egg smoker. Wow. But you got to win a pick'em contest to get your name in the hat. And then finally, Pond Max Incorporated, Clay and the guys down there, they are going to give away a 12-gauge shotgun, a home defense shotgun. You got to see this thing. We'll get a picture of it up. And they're giving away a Delton AR-15. All of that's in a single prize package. So here's how it goes.
That's pretty amazing, man.
That's about $3,000 worth of prizes, guys.
Absolutely.
So we have the pick'em contest every week. You got to pick the winner and the score without going over on the winner's side. If you win that week, you win about $60 to $80 worth of gift certificates from us, and hats and T-shirts and cups and all that kind of stuff. And your name goes in the hat for each time that you win. So at the end of the year, we're going to go all the way to the SEC championship game. Then we're going to go to the 2 playoff games. And then we're going to pick the national championship game. And then we're going to do the drawing for however many times they won. So if you won 3 times during the season, your name's in the hat 3 times. You win once, goes in once. You win twice, goes in twice. You win 4, go in 4 times. So far this year, we've had 2 two-time winners. And that has been Russ Campbell of Macon and Davey Keys of Macon. So those guys are already in twice. We've had a few single-game winners. So this week's Pick'em contest is Notre Dame and Miami and Auburn, Georgia. So we'll take your calls on that Pick'em when we come back at 478-550-0524. We'll come back and talk Auburn, Georgia, and dig into this one. It's the South's oldest rivalry.
It's Georgia-Auburn, by the way.
It's Auburn, Georgia. As they travel to Jordan-Hare Stadium and have to step on Pat Dye Field for the longest game in Southern football history. Started in 1892.
What a ride.
And it has been an incredible one. But we're going to talk about not such a good ride for the Auburn Tigers over the last dozen years or so. We're going to talk about all that. Once again, your calls, 478-550-0524. We'll come back after this. And welcome back on a Thursday night. We are live at Stoner's Pizza on Forsyth Road. Russell Deese and Brett Barron. We're sitting here talking a little bit about Georgia and South Carolina last week. We took a look around the conference to see what was going on there. Don't forget our pick'em contest this week. We've got a double pick'em. It's Notre Dame and Miami, and Notre Dame comes in with one loss to Georgia. That 20-19 1-point game, and Auburn and Georgia, or Georgia and Auburn, however you want to figure it out. All right, Brett, let's look a little bit ahead to some games this week. Probably the other marquee game in the Southeastern Conference. This team's playing much better. They got blowed out by Auburn and Georgia, but that's Mississippi State, and their freshman quarterback. Their defense is playing much better. I think Dan Mullen's a fine coach. I don't think he's got the talent at Mississippi State some of the other schools have done, but he's done a lot there, especially during the Dak Prescott era. Alabama all of a sudden now is banged up a little bit. So
I got a lot of Alabama customers. We called on one Monday, and he wasn't panicking, but they've lost 4 out of 7 linebackers.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that. And I don't keep up with them.
And some defensive backs. In the first game against Florida State, they lost a guy for the year.
If they lose Mika, Fitzpatrick, he said, man, they're in trouble. But
I think he's a difference maker on the field. He reminds me of the kid that was there 2 years ago that was a linebacker for them. He's playing in the NFL now. He's quite a talent. Originally was going to sign with Auburn and then flipped and went to Alabama, and I can't remember his name to save my life. For some reason, I get a mental block on him. Maybe it's because he flipped from Auburn to Alabama. But
I do love traveling. We traveled all through. We went to Birmingham. I went through Stark Vegas, as they call it. As a matter of fact, on the way to Stark Vegas Tuesday, there was already a big old Alabama RV at a convenience store we stopped in, and we talked to them for a minute. It was funky there. They said, man, we're going up for the whole week, we're going to Stark Vegas.
All right, let's go to the phone lines. Who we got with us?
Got Eric Shoemaker with Bulldog Illustrated.
Eric, how are you, man? How are you? Good evening to you.
Yeah, I'm right here, buddy.
Hey, Eric.
He distributes the Bulldog Illustrated magazine.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
He's got a dadgum English Bulldog. He came to my house to see the dog deck last weekend and brought his English Bulldog, Izzy. You've probably seen pictures. If not,
I saw it. I did see it.
He's an English Bulldog. He's a great guy. And you're coming back to the dog deck this weekend, and hopefully Russell will stop by, and we're going to have a good time.
All right, Eric. Give us your thoughts on going in. Well, first of all, let's go back and look at last week. What did you think about the South Carolina performance?
It was excellent. I figured that's what we were going to do, and we should win this one pretty good too. We'd have to have a total meltdown not to beat Auburn. So I said, go Dogs, and we're too deep and we're too strong, especially in the fourth quarter. I think that's when the Dogs are strong.
What? So is Auburn the best team you've played since Notre Dame?
Everybody. I think everybody plays the Dogs hard. The Bulldogs are one of the teams to beat these days, and but the Notre Dame and Georgia game that was a good game. It could have probably went either way, but I don't think it was the toughest. I don't think it's the toughest game. I think the toughest game coming up will be Auburn, and you got a chance to get about Georgia Tech there. They'd like to upset. They'd like to ruin our year.
All right, Brett, go ahead, and then you were going to say something.
I would address that Auburn is definitely our toughest game as of right now. And to your point, yes, I would agree with you. Since Notre Dame. Mississippi State at the time, which is a better-looking win now.
Yeah, it's starting to look.
They were ranked, I think, 15 when we beat them, and now they're back up to 16. So they're scary. I don't say they're going to beat Alabama, but I think they're going to hang with them. If Alabama makes enough mistakes, who knows? Everybody wants to just ordain everybody. You know what I mean? We know we're going to the Mercedes-Benz Stadium.
That's right.
But that's the only team that knows they're going. You still have a heck of a shot to go. I mean,
let's
let it play out.
I guess the only question I got from a standpoint, Eric, is you haven't seen a letdown game from Georgia yet. When's that game coming?
I think
Man, I hope it ain't like in the playoffs. I don't see us having a letdown game. I really don't.
I agree with you there.
I'm that positive. This is a good team. I mean, everybody's got to admit this is a good Georgia team. They're going to get better and better every year.
I agree with that. I mean, he is what he's already signed for the 18 class is incredible. He's got 4 of the top 40 kids in the country already. 2 of the top running backs, top quarterback. That may be debatable if he is. Justin Fields. I mean, he's a little bit of a dual threat guy, but either way, everybody's got him in the top 3 or 5. Yeah. And all right, so Eric, how about giving me a prediction on our 2 pick'em games this week? We've got Notre Dame at undefeated Miami and Georgia playing it at Auburn. Give me some scores on that one.
Yeah, the Notre Dame Miami game. I think that was going to be a close one, and I think the Auburn and Georgia game. I think we're going to control the whole game from get to get there.
All right, give me scores now.
It's a pick'em contest.
It's a pick'em contest. I know you're talking philosophy right now, but I need numbers, baby.
That's my boy Eric. Yeah.
All right, give me Notre Dame and Miami first.
Oh Lord, you put me on the spot here. This is the first time I've ever talked to anybody on the radio like this and give a score. I'm not much on scores.
Well, we're glad we're popping your cherry, so let's go.
He did that last weekend.
Hey, how about Miami 17, Notre Dame 21.
That's a pretty good pick, bud.
21-17. All right, well, hang on one second.
It's not already taken yet.
I got to make sure that's not taken yet. All right, you're good on that one, 21-17. All right, I think they're – I don't know. I think one of those 2 teams is going to put points up. It may be good. All right, Georgia and Auburn. Come on, give me that big score.
I'm coming up with I'm going to say 14-35. 35 Georgia.
35, Georgia 35. Hang on.
We're gonna score big time. We got something to prove now.
I like that attitude, brother.
We're gonna roll.
I like that attitude, brother.
All right, 35-14. That's a good pick. And I really, all my picks so far, this game's running 50-50.
Is it?
It's running about 50-50.
Well, yeah, the line's like 2.5. It could open us being an underdog is on the road, but we'll talk about that in a second as well, about the history of that.
All right, Gary, tell them a little bit about where they can pick up Bulldog Illustrated. I need some extra stuff for the restroom.
this week, let's see. We can start off with we're gonna go down Pike Road. The Players Club, the pizza place right next to the Players
Stoner's
Club.
Pizza.
That's where we're at. That's where we're at, buddy.
Yeah,
we're broadcasting live.
The Shell Station.
Right here. Yeah.
The 2 liquor stores on Forsyth Road.
Yep.
The one across the street from Burger King, and the one down the street across almost at Kroger's.
Yep.
And then you go to let's see the
well, you don't have to name them all.
I'm just blank right now.
If you drink like I do, you're not going to miss one. They're in every liquor store.
They're all over town. A Jack Saw Shop, the liquor store on Thomaston Road, Mingledorf. You can go to most of the restaurants across the street from Lake Wildwood.
Polly's.
Oh, that's Polly's. That's your neck of the woods.
Hey, I'll tell you the pictures on Gray Highway, and then you got the Sports Museum. That's where I got my picture taken with that big statue of Herschel Walker.
Oh, my God. Did you take flowers and incense down there or something like that?
Shut up.
All right, so all right, Eric. Well, that's good. I mean, it started out as a paper magazine, and now you guys got full color, awesome. Slick. I mean, it looks good now, and I know everybody around here eats it up. And man, I'm glad you called in. Don't make yourself a stranger on the show.
I sure will. I appreciate it.
And hopefully you guys get to meet each other on the deck.
You sent me to call in, and I was nervous when I came down there last Saturday. I'm even more nervous now.
Yeah, he did the Dog Dick Live show. He was nervous.
Well, don't be nervous. Anybody can see you, and you've got a face for radio, so we're not putting you live.
All right, buddy.
All right, man. Thank you, Eric. And we'll talk to you next week. Got to get ready for the Kentucky Wildcats after you get through this one.
That's true. I didn't know if you wanted me to stop by before halftime at the Georgia Auburn game.
Yeah, come on, bring Izzy. Let Russell see Izzy.
Yeah, you need to bring the dog back. It's a good-looking dog.
Absolutely.
Okay, I sure will, buddy.
All right. Thank you, Eric. All right, glad to have Eric with us. We had another caller there.
Jim was trying to call.
Yeah, we'll get Jim back in here in just a second. Let me tell him to go ahead and call now because we don't have a rollover line. Well, it does, but it goes to my dang voicemail.
Okay, I got you.
So Eric is completely enthralled with the dogs and say they're going to roll.
He really is, yeah.
And before the night's over, of course, you're going to have to give us your pick. I've got some regulars that have not called in or picked yet. We're going to have to get it.
We're going to have to find what's going on.
All right, so
who's the big high school game you got this week?
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about high school. Teams that have made it. Let's just talk about the Macon schools that have made it so far. We got a caller. We'll get to him, and if I can get to him here, and we'll get to him in just 1 second. So the Macon schools that made the playoff are Westside, Southwest. Southwest played in on a three-team round robin on Monday night, beat Waco to get into to get into playoffs. Howard for the first time.
I saw Howard's in.
First time in school history. He's in with a 6-4. First time ever for Howard to have a winning season and go to the playoffs. And then, of course, Mountain LaSalle's, Stratford, FPD, and Tattnall all play this week. Mountain LaSalle's is on the road. Stratford has the bye week. And tomorrow night it's a rematch of a game.
Tattnall again and FPD, right?
Tattnall and FPD, because of an appeals process, they got to play each other in the first round on a rematch. So those are the big games in Macon tomorrow night. All right, let's go back to the phones, and let's go back to the old Blue Hoe himself, Jim Harden.
The Blue Hoe is in the house. What's up?
How are you, sir?
I'm good. How are y'all?
We're good. Got Brett Barron sitting here with me tonight. Sorry I couldn't get to you. I was listening to we had Eric from Bulldog Illustrated, and he was telling us how the dogs are going to roll all over the Auburn Tigers. So you're an appropriate call for after that little call. A rebuttal here.
I take it he's an Auburn guy.
Yeah, you take it. He played for Pat Dye. Yes.
Well, hey, I have no problem with that.
He's the only guy in the world that ever taught Pat Dye, and he gave him a pre-red maple. All right, so how's your week, man?
Been all right, man. I've just been a little uneasy, a little nervous. Used to in the good old days, I didn't get nervous. I wish Tuberville was coaching us this week. I wouldn't be sweating it.
Well, I'm gonna tell you, my nickname's BB Dog, my friend, and I'm nervous too. So it's always a great, the oldest rivalry, whatever you want to call it, and it's a great game. I mean, the schools are an hour and a half from Macon, and that's why there's so many people from Macon go to either Georgia or Auburn. So I'm geeked up and nervous myself. So.
Well, it used to be a rivalry, Jim. It's not much of one anymore, is it?
It doesn't seem like it.
Well, come on. We've won 4 in a row or whatever that's.
They've won 3 in a row. Hey, here's an interesting stat I'm going to throw out to you, and Jim, I texted you this early. If Gus Malzahn loses to Georgia and Auburn this year, it'll be the first time in Auburn football history, think about this now, since 1892 that Auburn has gone 0-8 in 4 consecutive years to Auburn and Georgia. Jim, that stat alone tells me Auburn's got something to prove this weekend.
Well, I hope so. I just don't know if it doesn't seem like they have the edge they used to have when it came to the Georgia game. I don't know if there's not as many Georgia kids on the roster. I don't know. I'm not sure exactly what it is, but I'm a proud Georgian, and I for years, this hasn't been the case lately, but I was always happy when Auburn won, but it was really kind of demonstrated the fact Georgia's kind of an underachieving program for a lot of years. I mean, when you're the flagship school and one of the best football states in the country, and you pretty much for a long time Auburn kind of had the upper hand in the series, and you kind of played toe-to-toe, 50-50, or maybe a little less than 50-50 against the school that's kind of the stepchild in its own state. It kind of shows always kind of feather in Auburn's cap, I felt like. And, in spite of all those losses the last few years, Auburn has won a national championship and has played for another one. So that's a little bit of a consolation. But Georgia ought to win. I mean, on paper, Georgia ought to win 2 out of 3 in this series. But they never have. And I think that's who knows why, but it just doesn't seem like it should have been that way historically. And maybe Georgia has turned it a little bit lately.
Well, I don't think there's any doubt about that. If you look at these two teams on paper, probably with the exception now that Petway's out, maybe not running back. Even though Auburn's got the leading running back, he's got probably 30 more carries than Nick Chubb does, and they got the same yardage basically. Everything else about these two teams, I think that makes this so intriguing this year is that they look pretty equal on paper.
They're very similar teams, actually, if you ask my opinion. Run the ball, try to stop the ball, stopping to run the ball. And I'll tell you another thing. I didn't want to jump in, but I got it while I'm thinking about it. Georgia is 11th in the SEC with only 17 sacks on defense. Auburn is 11th in the SEC, allowing 24 sacks, albeit 12 of those came, against Clemson? Or 10 of them?
Yeah, they got
that stat kind of – but it is very interesting. I saw that a while ago. That's an interesting stat.
If you look back on the Auburn season, they've played one bad quarter of football, I felt like, against Clemson. The third quarter of the game got away from them, Jim, and they played one bad half or maybe a quarter and a half. Really, some people could say they played only two bad quarters of football this year.
Talking about LSU.
The LSU, right. The fourth quarter of the LSU game, right, and the third quarter of the Clemson game. Would you agree with that assessment of the team?
I guess it's hard to tell, and I'm gonna tell you, and Georgia fans don't want to hear this, but this is the SEC is down. It's weak, and I think Georgia's taking advantage of that. Auburn didn't, and they should have beaten LSU. I mean, under the circumstance, they had a chance to beat Clemson. And I don't know. I think the verdict's still out on Georgia. I mean, it'll be. I don't think I'll know what kind of football team I feel like Auburn or Georgia had until the game in Atlanta's done. I mean, Georgia could lose to Auburn, lose to Bama, and it's like, okay, who was this team really? Well, they wouldn't be, in my mind, they wouldn't be. It'd be light years different than what most of their fans think they are right now. And I think that's realistically what could happen.
Well, I am BB Dog, by the way. I don't think we've ever met. And I'm, very excited about it, but I'm also very in the same light of that. I mean, I'm not drinking the Kool-Aid thinking, oh, my God, we're unbelievable or whatever. But I did go to Notre Dame. It was a great experience. And we've like every team, you made a good point. The SEC is absolutely they're down. But people are on Wisconsin's case. They're on a lot of these teams, Miami. But you know what? At the end of the day, every team plays who's on the freaking schedule, man. You can't control what that team does. You play who's on the schedule. And that kind of gets under my skin a little bit. But,
Well, I mean, let's go back. So I'm hearing, we're listening to the College Football Playoff Committee, Jim, and they're saying Georgia's number one, Alabama's number two. Alabama people saying, why are you dropping us out of number one? When we played Florida State, they were ranked number 3 in the country, and we dominated them. When Georgia played Notre Dame, the week before that game, Notre Dame was an unranked football team. They moved them to number 25 the week of the Georgia game. Georgia went up there on the road and beat them. Is it because now of what Notre Dame has done that they're going back and saying the strength of schedule's better and Florida State has fell apart? I don't think you get the answer in this until these two teams meet each other. Right. So Alabama and Georgia meet. That's when I'll decide which one of them really is the better football team.
Yeah, well, that's right. And I just think that's why I love Steve Spurrier here and think what he did was so great at Florida. Everybody loves what Saban's done, thinks he's the greatest. But I know the teams overall may be better now. Alabama may be better, a better program than Florida ever was. But in the 90s, there was a lot more competition top to bottom in the SEC. And I mean, even with Saban, what he's done, there's been some years when they just didn't really, there wasn't a lot of competitiveness, beyond the top 2 or 3 teams in the conference. And I think it's even worse this year. And I remember way back in 1992, Georgia thought they had a great team, and they lost 2 ball games. Lost only 2 ball games on the schedule they could have lost. And that team, nobody remembers that team was a great team. Alabama won the national championship in '92. But, they were an eyelash away from beating Florida, beating Tennessee. But they also an eyelash away from losing to Auburn, losing, I think it was to Vandy that year. So I think if Georgia runs the table and wins it all, my hat's off to them. But I think this, and you're right, you can only play the people on your schedule, but everything's relative too. I want Miami and Georgia is what I want in the playoff. Well, I don't. That means Georgia probably won the SEC. So,
well, that can easily happen. I mean, I think it comes down to the next 3 weeks. Georgia's in. Interesting stat. We talked about this. Brett, you can comment on this too if you want. Is that right now, after Jim McElwain got fired, there are only two current Southeastern Conference head football coaches that have ever coached in a Southeastern Conference football game. That's Nick Saban and Gus Malzahn. Kirby Smart will be the third one. Yeah. And he came off of that staff at Alabama. So you really you got that Alabama, Auburn, and Georgia connection because Kirby's at Georgia now. But that's an amazing stat that those are the only two current head coaches in the Southeastern Conference that have coached in a championship game.
That's amazing.
Well,
that's amazing.
That's why they get paid a lot of money because they don't get to stay around long.
That's right.
Well, not nowadays. You're right.
But then again, they get the crazy buyout clauses. Let's don't even start about that. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah.
Munchamp's still getting paid by Florida. Is that wild or what? I mean, that's crazy.
Oh, well, how long did Charlie Strong get paid by Notre Dame, Florida, and where'd he go after that? Washington.
Well, Charlie's down in South Florida right now.
No, but not Charlie Strong. Charlie Weiss.
Oh, Weiss, yeah.
Yeah, well, what was his last stop? Was it Washington or Washington State?
I don't remember. I'm not sure.
Anyway, all right, Jim, two quick questions, and then I want to ask you about the other game on our pick'em. Start with what does Auburn got to do to win the football game on Saturday, in your opinion?
I think they got to play defense like they've played all year. I mean, I think they're fine up front. I mean, Georgia can obviously run the ball a little bit, but I think they can probably neutralize Georgia's offense enough to win. I think Auburn just got to score. I'm just so nervous. It's like last year. Auburn was so – Georgia fans after the Georgia-Auburn game last year were thinking they had a great game on defense. I'm sitting there as an Auburn fan thinking, this is the worst offensive performance I've ever seen by a team. Auburn have been better off to quick kick on first down every time. They had a better chance to win the game. So Auburn's just got to get a little bit of offensive production. I think they'll have a pretty good chance to win. I think they got to run the football, and they got to throw it. But I think they got to establish the run, and if they can start moving the ball against that Georgia front, they'll have a great chance to win.
I think the game comes down to both offensive lines because both of them got great front four, front sevens. I think it's the offensive line on which either team steps up wins the football game.
I agree with that.
And you're right. Go back to the Georgia game last year. If you took the Georgia offensive possessions in the second half, and Auburn had all they had to do was take a knee on every fourth down, they'd have won the football game.
Yeah.
Because Georgia didn't move the ball on offense. That's the truth.
Georgia scored a defensive touchdown to win the game.
That's right.
Pitiful.
That's right.
Yeah,
kid from Alabama.
Here's the great thing about this game coming up Saturday. The last two Auburn-Georgia games haven't been worth watching paint dry. The one at Auburn 2 years ago and the one in Athens last year, two worst football games I've ever seen between these two teams. This year ought to be a little more exciting. I got your picks already. You want to go over them again? Oh, no. Wait.
Notre Dame. A second game.
Yeah, Notre Dame and Miami. What's your thoughts on that?
I really don't have a clue. I don't think a lot of people have a clue. It's easy to throw. Everybody's trying to compare. Again, you just don't. It's hard nationally to know how good really people are. I'm like a lot of people. I'm pulling from Art Rick. I don't like Notre Dame for some reason. I'm not sure why I don't like them.
I think nobody in the South does.
Until I went up there, I didn't need it. But going up there, I kind of adopted them. Whatever.
Well, I used to. I liked them when back in the 80s, a little bit when they had those teams and they had old Tony Rice from South Carolina quarterbacking, and those are pretty good years. But I'd like to see Miami get them. I think they might. I think they got a chance. I think they got a good chance to do it.
I think Miami, this is the kind of a shot they got to have to legitimize their football team because I don't think, even though they've moved up in the rankings because they're in, and Brett, get your thoughts on this, nobody's really looked at them and said, hey, that's a really great football team.
No, I mean, I think they're 7th this week in the playoff poll.
Right.
I mean, they were getting no love at all. A little bit like Wisconsin, but they're getting a little love. They beat Notre Dame. They're going to be in a playoff. Well, of course, they're going to have to play Clemson in the ACC championship game, but other than that.
Well, I don't feel much differently about them than I do Georgia. I mean, but it's like Martin Rick. I heard him talking the other night. If they went out, they take care of their business, just like Georgia, then they're fine.
Right.
But right now,
there's so much speculation. It's like, I don't know if you know.
Right.
Mark Packer on ESPNU Radio. I love the guy. He's like, I'm so sick of the what if game because everybody calls him and goes, what if this team does that? What if hey, guys, let's enjoy this. Like I always say on my show on Saturday, we're week 11. Are you kidding me? This is going to be over with, guys, before we know it. Let's enjoy it, man.
Yeah, it's 1 week at a time, and
Absolutely.
I think you find out more about every football team. Hey, one last thing, Jim. What did you think about LSU and Alabama last week? Did LSU show some vulnerabilities of Alabama?
Maybe. I'm not sure. I know Alabama's got dealing with some injuries. I'm not sure all the details. I didn't watch the whole game, but LSU is one of those programs, and they're always athletic, and they can circle the wagons and get a game plan. They can play with anybody, and so I don't think that game was a lot different than what I thought it would be. Alabama's going to be hard to beat. That's the bottom line, and whoever they play, and LSU is probably not as bad as maybe some people thought they were.
Well, there's nothing like old Coach O.
That's it.
All right. So what's happening with Georgia Southern Eagles? You got me an update? It's probably a little early for that.
It's on TV at night, isn't it?
Yep.
Are they not on TV? I don't even know. I know they're playing.
It's on ESPNU, I believe.
It is.
Yeah.
That's correct.
7:30, I believe it's
live from Boone, North Carolina. Wouldn't you love to be there?
My winless Georgia Southern Eagles.
Well, so I'm thinking about riding up to Rockmart tomorrow night and watching them play the Monticello Purple Hurricanes in the playoffs. I'm a big Rockmart Yellow Jacket. I'll let you know. I'll call the score.
Hey, before I let you go, one more thing. Give me your thoughts on this rematch with Tattnall and FPD that went to overtime 3 weeks ago.
I don't know. I wouldn't bet a nickel, kind of like Georgia Auburn. I think FPD's got to be a little nervous having to have a
rematch.
I think FPD's may have a better team, but they're nervous. I guarantee you, having to face Tattnall again. Tattnall's got some injuries, and I really think FPD ought to win. But I talk about that all the time. I think out of the last 32 meetings, FPD's beaten them about 5 times. So them ain't good odds so far. That's not a good percentage.
Well,
so we'll see.
You never want to face your crosstown rival in a rematch of a game you just played 2 weeks ago.
I don't think he picked the match.
That's right.
Did he?
Yeah, I've already got his score on it.
I'm sorry.
All right,
That's
Jimbo.
Kind of like when the PC Blue Hose played Newberry. You can throw the record out the window.
All right, anything else I need to know about? Everything good in politics and good around the world with you?
Absolutely. I wish Trump would have put that Chinese guy in a headlock today. But that's all right.
Make America great again. Talk to you over the weekend, brother.
War Eagle.
See you. Good call. Thank you.
We've had one Georgia call, one Auburn call. I guess that makes it.
We're right down there.
The war of the game is going to be.
And that's pretty much. I mean, you and I have said it. I mean, there's so many Auburn people here in this area, and obviously so many Georgia people. And it goes back and it stretches back to before Vince Dooley and before Pat Dye, and it's just a great rivalry. I guess you saw about Gus talking to the Auburn defense the other night. Yeah, he walked in the locker room. He said, "Men, I need you to get focused on this Georgia game." And he said, "You seniors, I want you to stand up and tell me which one of y'all has who's beating Georgia."
Nobody stands up.
Nobody stood up but Trey Matthews.
That's right.
Trey Matthews.
Kirby did that against Florida. We had nobody stand up. Yeah, absolutely.
Yep, and
Trey Matthews. That's right.
Trey Matthews. He tipped the ball into the hand of the Auburn receiver.
Yep.
I was there that night. Who did I know? I thought that was right there next to the Bama punt game, and I took a break for Thanksgiving and came back a week later for the Alabama game and kicked 6. That's one hell of a ride. All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll continue with Auburn, Georgia picks and Notre Dame and Miami. Your calls at 478-550-0524. We would love to hear from you. Give us a call right now. We'll be back after this timeout.
Before you put your company logo or event name on the streets, say it with authority. Apparel Authority. Now at a new location off Eisenhower Parkway across from Lowe's. Shirts, hats, cups, pens, patches, we put your logo on almost anything. Our team provides quality craftsmanship and custom embroidery, and our screen printing will turn your design into wearable works of art. Call or stop by in person for a quote. Apparel Authority, now at a new location off Eisenhower Parkway across from Lowe's.
This just in. A large storm in the Gulf has all but decimated the entire Gulf shrimping industry, with the exception of a lone shrimping boat manned by a legless veteran and a young gentleman that hasn't stopped waving at our cameras or telling us his mama's advice. Odd. In completely unrelated news, Kudzu Seafood Company, the authentic Gulf Coast seafood restaurant that brought the coast to Middle Georgia, has also cornered the shrimp market in Central Georgia. Barbecue shrimp and cheese grits, buffalo shrimp, firecracker shrimp tacos, shrimp po' boys, shrimp burgers, shrimp baskets, and Dr. Pepper, all on 3rd Street in downtown Macon. Stay tuned for more breaking news.
Join us Monday night at the Methodist Children's Home on Pierce Avenue as the Macon Touchdown Club continues its 72nd season of honoring student athletes. Our program will begin at 6:30 with our dinner soon to follow. Our guest speaker this week is none other than former University of Georgia All-American and ESPN analyst Matt Stitzcomb. That's Monday night, November the 6th at the Methodist Children's Home. It's the Macon Touchdown Club. We'll see you on Monday night. For more information, just log on to MaconTouchdownClub.com.
Oh my, what a pizza pie! Take one bite and you'll say it too. In fact, take one bite of anything they cook at Stoner's Pizza Joint and they've got you. You'll immediately taste the difference because they make their dough daily. Use only the finest cheese and top quality meats. Stoner's even cuts their vegetables fresh every day. Combine all that on the crisp crust taste of a stone oven, and in between bites you'll say, oh my, what a pizza pie! Stoner's Pizza Joint, Forsyth Road, Macon, and Houston Lake Road, Warner Robins.
Planning on a holiday party with friends, family, or coworkers? Texas Border Grill's private banquet room offers seating from 5 to 55. Lunch to dinner 7 days a week. Featuring an amazing menu with aged beef, seafood, and so many other signature dishes. Texas Border Grill.
Hey folks, Russell from Gridiron Game of the Week. When you get ready to buy a new car or a newer automobile, there's always the dilemma of what to do with your current car. Well, that's where You Park 'Em, You Sell 'Em at 3306 Vineville Avenue comes in. You Park 'Em, You Sell 'Em is the original automobile dealership with the owner in mind. For 18 years, You Park 'Em, You Sell 'Em has been the only alternative to giving your car to a local dealer on a trade-in or trying to market your car yourself. So when you get ready to sell your old car, give them a call today at 254-6310. That's You Park 'Em, You Sell 'Em, 3306 Vineville Avenue. Hey folks, every now and then we're a little tight on cash. Well, if you're tight on cash, we want to encourage you to visit Pawn Max Incorporated, located at 2404 Pinona Avenue. Pawn Max is the place to get a loan or sell your valuables, hassle-free, making it easy to turn your unwanted gold, jewelry, tools, even firearms into cash. Why let your pieces collect dust when you need to collect dollars? They're licensed and insured and will give you the best money for your items. Go visit them today at 2404 Pinona Avenue right here in Macon, or visit them online at pawnmaxinc.com. It's football time in Middle Georgia, and that means it's time for the Macon Touchdown Club. Join us this year as we kick off our 72nd year at the Methodist Children's Home at 304 Pierce Avenue each and every Monday night. Come join us for a night filled of football fun and fellowship. We kick it off September the 11th. The Macon Touchdown Club, honoring student athletes since 1946. To find out more, log on to MaconTouchdownClub.com. Hey folks, it's Russell from Gridiron Game of the Week. You know, there comes a time when we all start to look for a brand new or even a newer automobile, and as a consumer, your choices have always been limited as to where to shop, and secondly, what to do with your current car. Take it to the local dealer and trade it in for wholesale, ride around town with that ugly for sale sign in the back window, or park it in your driveway and hope somebody stops by and they're really there to look at your car. Well, that's where the fine folks at You Park 'Em, You Sell 'Em at 3306 Vineville Avenue in Macon come in. You Park 'Em, You Sell 'Em is the original automobile dealership with the owner in mind. For almost 18 years, You Park 'Em, You Sell 'Em has been the alternative to giving your car away to the local dealer on a trade-in or trying to market the car yourself. The professional staff at You Park 'Em, You Sell 'Em has 35 years of experience in the automobile industry, and they're there solely to help you through the process of selling or buying your next car. If you have a car car and you're ready to sell it, let the folks at You Park 'Em, You Sell 'Em show you how to maximize your vehicle's marketing and financial potential today. You Park 'Em, You Sell 'Em, the car lot for you. Remember, folks, don't just park it, sell it. Give them a call today, 478-254-6310. That's You Park 'Em, You Sell 'Em.
Before you put your company logo or event name on the streets, say it with authority. Apparel Authority. Now at a new location off Eisenhower Parkway across from Lowe's. Shirts, hats, cups, pens, patches, we put your logo on almost anything. Our team provides quality craftsmanship and custom embroidery, and our screen printing will turn your design into wearable works of art. Call or stop by in person for a quote. Apparel Authority, now at a new location off Eisenhower Parkway across from Lowe's.
This just in. A large storm in the Gulf has all but decimated the entire Gulf shrimping industry, with the exception of a lone shrimping boat manned by a legless veteran and a young gentleman that hasn't stopped waving at our cameras or telling us his mama's advice. Odd. In completely unrelated news, Kudzu Seafood Company, the authentic Gulf Coast seafood restaurant that brought the coast to Middle Georgia, has also cornered the shrimp market in Central Georgia. Barbecue shrimp and cheese grits, buffalo shrimp, firecracker shrimp tacos, shrimp po' boys, shrimp burgers, shrimp baskets, and Dr. Pepper, all on 3rd Street in downtown Macon. Stay tuned for more breaking news.
Join us. And welcome back on a Thursday night. We are live at Stoner's Pizza on Forsyth Road. Got about another 15, 16 minutes and put that thing down. As we're talking Georgia and Auburn, and we'd love to have your scores. Remember, our Pick'em contest this week is Auburn and Georgia and Notre Dame and Miami. None of y'all won the Alabama-LSU game. Y'all didn't do your research. So pot rolls over, so we had to pick 2 games this week. It's 9-1 Notre Dame, or are they 8-1 or 9-1? 8-1 Notre Dame.
9-0 Miami.
9-0 Miami. It is 9-0 Georgia and 7-2 Auburn. And that is our Pick'em contest. You have to pick the winner and score. I'd love to have your thoughts on the game coming up this weekend at 478-550-0524. Brett, I want to go back and just run down the SEC schedule for everybody for this week. Arkansas is a 12 o'clock kickoff. They play at LSU. LSU's jumped up to number 24 now. Talking about that game, I think Orgeron's got them turned the corner a little bit. I think he's probably disappointed in the Alabama game last week, but I also think that he's gotten a little more confidence in his offense. I thought there were some plays last week against Alabama. If Etling could have hit some passes, that game could have been a little closer.
Oh, yeah. And there's nothing – what a way to, like we were talking to the guy riding with me, to quiet a Cajun crowd of kicking off at 11 a.m. in the morning. But, yeah, it's for that golden boot. They do play for one of those trophy games. They play for a golden boot, and I think LSU will absolutely kill them. It'll probably be the final coffin in Mr. Another BB, Brett Bielema's coffin, if you ask me.
Yeah, I agree with that. Hold on, I need to get that note. Nothing like live.
I don't even think it'll be close.
Nothing like live TV. You got to do what you got to do. Okay, so LSU 6-3 overall, 3-2 in the conference. Arkansas 4-5, including a win over Coastal Carolina by the skin of their hog hair, and 1-4 in the conference. Next up, we've got University of Louisiana Lafayette at Ole Miss. Ole Miss comes in 4-5 overall, 2-4 in the conference. I'd like to see Ole Miss get this win. They had a big win against Kentucky last week.
Clinched us the East.
That's right. Just a game they were trailed all night and found a way to come back and win. And I'll tell you, the kid that's a true freshman quarterback.
That took over for Shea Patterson?
Tua or whatever his name is. I guess Hawaii's a new hot base for quarterbacks now.
Sounds like it.
But he threw a perfect pass in the corner.
I didn't even see it. That's good.
To another true freshman that's about 6'6". Brought it down, one-footed it in the back of the corner of the end zone to win the game for them.
Wow.
I'd like to see Ole Miss get this one to you.
They'll win this one. I always kind of liked Ole Miss, so yeah, they'll win that one easily.
South Carolina at Florida. Interesting subplots in this thing here. Will Muschamp, head coach at Florida, got fired, replaced by Jim McElwain.
Now gone.
Who is now gone. Think Florida's going to win this game or South Carolina? South Carolina's got to win this
think
game.
They're going to win it by 3 or 4 touchdowns. What Missouri absolutely torched Florida. Of course, that was the week after it happened. But still, they're not going to recover, in my opinion. Florida's not going to make a bowl game. They're not going to come close to a bowl game.
Yeah, Florida sits at 3-5, 3-4 in the conference. Carolina 6-0 and 4-3 in the conference. I believe Will Muschamp, given the opportunity in this football game,
he's going to put it on them.
He's going to put it on the Florida Gators.
I agree.
And I believe that's going to happen. Okay, then Kentucky at Vanderbilt. Kentucky's 3-3 in the conference, 6-3 overall. Vanderbilt is 0-5 in the conference and 4-5. Promising season. Early on, we thought Vanderbilt might be a dark horse team.
Yep. Derek Mason, I remember him vividly on the field going, all around the stadium, which he should. He was excited, but it is on downhill from there.
Boy, since Alabama came in and gang raped them, it's been.
Remember, the guy says, we want Bama. That's where they started. They're not going to get their first win this week against Kentucky.
They have not been the same football team since Alabama clubbed them like a baby seal.
Absolutely.
All right, so A&M. Kevin Sumlin back on the hot seat. He got blowed up by Auburn last week. They got a kickoff return for a touchdown in that game. Auburn had one team had them 42-14 or something like that, and they came back and got a couple of late touchdowns. Is the swan song coming up for Kevin Sumlin?
Could be. What's the record? You say 6-0?
A&M overall is 5-4 and 3-3 in the conference. It's been over 700 days since they beat an SEC West opponent at home in at College Station.
He's definitely on the hot seat. I don't know how hot it is. How about that?
Okay, New Mexico, University of New Mexico or Northern Mexico or somebody's playing them. I don't even know who the hell that is. Okay, Missouri, Tennessee and Missouri.
Oh, another dumpster fire.
Another dumpster fire. Missouri's playing well.
Missouri all the way.
Yeah, that game's up there.
Yeah.
Butch has got he's got Missouri left. He's got
Vandy probably at the end of the year. Right?
I guess Vandy and maybe one other in between there. I'm with you. I'm picking Missouri over Tennessee.
I think they make clobber, Mike. Yeah.
All right, we've talked a little bit about this game, Mississippi State at Alabama. Everybody's excited at Mississippi State. They clawed back in it. Mississippi State is 7-2 overall, 3-2 in the conference. They got any snowball's chance in this game?
Yeah,
it's in Stark Vegas.
That's correct. At night, at Stark Vegas with the cowbells, with them annoying cowbells.
And Alabama's hurt.
Yeah, they are. I don't think it's going to happen.
They got 3 5-star guys behind every one of those positions.
Could they lose? Absolutely, I think they could.
Yeah, I
don't see it. I don't see it.
All right, so then we go to the big matchup in the conference. Of course, all the eyes are going to be on Georgia and Auburn. I look back on this. I look back on how big the Georgia-Florida game was from a TV standpoint and all of that, and I think everybody was going to say, well, Georgia historically can't go there and win this game, and they do it. I didn't really have a feeling Florida was going to be competitive in that football game, and they weren't.
Not really.
And
I guess in the back of our mind, it's always kind of there.
Yeah, it's kind of like, Alabama and Auburn. If you're an Auburn guy, Alabama comes in, they come in 4-4, and you're still worried about them just because of the historical reference of the game. I think this is bigger. I think this is going to be a huge TV audience on Saturday. It's going to be huge.
I'm not sure who we're against in the 3:30 slot. I think most of there's killer games this weekend. We haven't touched on all of them, but I think the majority of them, luckily for us as spectators outside our game, is at night. Bama's at 7, and then Notre Dame, Miami's at 8, so that's great. We get to watch those.
Yeah, and I don't know who the other late game is.
I think there's some actually big noon kickoff games in like the Big 12 maybe. But,
yeah,
I think a lot of eyes are definitely going to be on our game, no question about it. I mean, you've got one against number 10,
that's true. All right, so we'd love to hear from you, 478-550-0524. We've had, like I said, this thing's kind of rolling about 50-50. I think it's probably flipped a little bit now, probably 55-45 Georgia, which is understandable. They're ranked number 1 in the CFP and number 2 in the AP and the coaches poll.
And last time I checked, we are in Georgia.
And you are in Georgia. That's right. All right, let's break down this game, Notre Dame and Miami. Notre Dame has run the football so well since the Georgia game.
Yeah.
That game up there at South Bend was a defensive battle. Miami can't run the football, and they've got poor run defense. I heard somebody talking on another show today that just said, if you look at the statistics, you don't think Miami playing this game against Notre Dame. And then he made a key point. He said, I'm telling you, Miami's athleticism is not reflected in their statistics right now. And he said, when I look at the guys that are starting for Notre Dame and the guys that are starting for Miami, this game's going to be a tough call to make.
Yeah.
So your thoughts on what Notre Dame and Miami is going to happen in that game? What do you expect to see in that game?
Watched them a little bit both. Miami beat Tech late.
Right.
Luckily, whatever, and then I forget the one. But I tell you one thing, I did see a little bit of it. They pretty much took care of Virginia Tech.
And that was the game.
I
thought that was the game they were vulnerable in. You're exactly right.
Absolutely.
I thought that was the game that was going to get Miami. Now, I don't know Miami's schedule, and maybe if I get a chance I can pull this up. But
on the flip side, Notre Dame has impressed the heck out of me. I mean, we were, of course, game 2. We talked earlier about what they were ranked, where they're ranked now, and all that kind of, to me, is out the window. But those guys have crushed USC, beat Michigan State handily, who's now on the rise again. Isn't it wild how these teams, a little bit like Auburn, a little bit like gets a couple of losses, and here they come again. Mississippi State, here they come again. But then that's what, when you were talking to Jim a while ago, I didn't get a chance to allude to it. But my thing about this whole season, there's not a dominant team. Do I think we're dominant? Not really. I think we're a very good football team. I don't think we're dominant and going to go out. We've had a lot of blowouts, but see, that's what happened last weekend. We beat South Carolina 24-10. Everybody's like, what's wrong with Georgia? What do you mean we won a football game? You know?
Yeah.
By 2 touchdowns.
If I look at their schedule, okay, they opened up, they beat Temple 49-16. They were unranked at that time. That win got them to the 24th or 25th ranking for the Georgia game. A great game to open the season. I mean, just nerve-wracking game. Classic game.
Beautiful game.
Georgia gets the big kick, then gets the big stop. Notre Dame's driving to try to win that thing. Georgia gets the ball back. They kick the field goal to win it. Then they played Boston College.
Trounced them.
49-20. Michigan State, 38-18. Miami of Ohio. Yeah. At North Carolina.
That was a little bit iffy to score, I think.
Yeah.
It don't really, I mean, it's not
33-10.
Well, okay.
Southern Cal.
Killed them.
And I think we all agree now Southern Cal's not the football team we thought they would be this year.
No, but here they come again back. They're back. You know.
They're back, but I just
agree. I'm with you.
I think their most impressive win was against North Carolina State, because North Carolina State's got a pretty good defense up there, and they won that game 35-14. But then you go back last week, Wake Forest 48-37,
right?
And they had a lead in that game, and Wake Forest came back. So who's better offensively, Miami or Wake Forest?
Oh, Miami, I would guess.
So you got to be a little nervous.
About the point part of it,
yeah. I mean, you got to be a little nervous if you're Notre Dame. That game is at Miami.
Yep.
Gonna be a little
game days there. Game days in Miami.
Going to be a little warmer.
Yeah.
A little more humid.
Yeah.
Could that play on?
I would think so. Yeah.
It could.
I don't think it's going to be a deciding factor, but it certainly could play into it.
I think in the fourth quarter it could, if it turns into a track meet or even a defensive battle.
Struggle, yes.
So, I think Notre Dame, if you're Notre Dame, you want to get up early in this football game.
I agree.
You want to get up early and kind of take the steam.
They still got to play Stanford, man. They had a heck of a schedule.
Yep. All right, give me your pick on that one.
Notre Dame 24, Miami 21.
All right.
Going to go to the wire. Going to be a classic to watch it.
All right, let me see if I got that score. I already got that score. You got to go again.
I figured.
Got to go again.
How about 25-22?
You want to go with that?
Sure. It's a weird score, but why not?
25 Notre Dame to 22. All right.
Here comes the big one.
Right after these messages. We're going to take a quick break. We'll come back. Still got a time to get your call in on the Pick'em contest, 478-550-0524. We'll be back after this timeout.
Before you put your company logo or event name on the streets, say it with authority. Apparel Authority. Now at a new location off Eisenhower Parkway across from Lowe's. Shirts, hats, cups, pens, patches, we put your logo on almost anything. Our team provides quality craftsmanship and custom embroidery, and our screen printing will turn your design into wearable works of art. Call or stop by in person for a quote. Apparel Authority, now at a new location off Eisenhower Parkway across from Lowe's.
This just in. A large storm in the Gulf has all but decimated the entire Gulf shrimping industry, with the exception of a lone shrimping boat manned by a legless veteran and a young gentleman that hasn't stopped waving at our cameras or telling us his mama's advice. Odd. In completely unrelated news, Kudzu Seafood Company, the authentic Gulf Coast seafood restaurant that brought the coast to Middle Georgia, has also cornered the shrimp market in Central Georgia. Barbecue shrimp and cheese grits, buffalo shrimp, firecracker shrimp tacos, shrimp po' boys, shrimp burgers, shrimp baskets, and Dr. Pepper, all on 3rd Street in downtown Macon. Stay tuned for more breaking news.
Hey folks, every now and then we're a little tight on cash. Well, if you're tight on cash, we want to encourage you to visit Pawn Max Incorporated, located at 2404 Pinona Avenue. Pawn Max is the place to get a loan or sell your valuables. Hassle-free, making it easy to turn your unwanted gold, jewelry, tools, even firearms into cash. Why let your pieces collect dust when you need to collect dollars? They're licensed and insured and will give you the best money for your items. Go visit them today at 2404 Pinona Avenue right here in Macon, or visit them online at pawnmaxinc.com. And welcome back on a Thursday night. We are live at Stoner's Pizza on Forsyth Road, Russell Dees. Special guest member here of the crew tonight, Brett Barron. Don't forget to go to Brett Barron on Facebook and look at Dog Deck Live. What time are you going to kick it off Saturday?
3:30 again, right?
Yeah.
Got to be that 2 o'clock pregame. Got to be that 2.
2 o'clock. Go to Facebook, look for Brett Barron, and it's a lot of fun on Saturday afternoon with Brett and his boys on the deck over there. And maybe I'll get a chance to sneak in there and talk to you a little bit on Saturday as well, too. All right, so you picked Miami 25-22. Before you give me a pick on Auburn, Georgia, your feeling about how this game is going to go. What's the adversities that Georgia faced? What's the adversity Auburn's going to face against Georgia? And then go on into your pick.
Very similar. I think you're going to load the box. You may even put 9 where you can't put 9, I guess. I guess you could if we don't put 2 wide out.
Are you talking about Georgia or Auburn here?
You against us. Auburn loading against us.
Uh-huh.
And you can load them, and, yeah, you've got a great front 7, but I still don't think you can limit Chubb and Michelle. It's been talked about all day if they keep them less than 150 rushing. But that is going to be your philosophy, and it's going to definitely be our philosophy. Kerryon Johnson, man, is as good as it gets. I mean, I don't know who spells him because Petway's hurt, but Kerryon is a tough running back. I'm very impressed with the guy. But I think that's why I think these teams are similar. Both have to stop the run, and is Fromm going to be the pass? I know personally he can pass, and we got to put pressure on Stidham. Maybe get him a little happy feet. But to be honest with you, I think the team that makes the fewest mistakes is going to win this ball game. And I think there's going to be, in some reason, I think there's going to be some key turnovers, probably late. I think it's definitely going to be fourth quarter game. I think it's going to be one for the ages, possibly. And I don't mind saying I'm nervous. On paper, if we play like we do, and I've said all day, we play our A game, I don't think we can lose. But you know what? That's hard to do every week, especially on the road. But then again, when you flip back and start thinking about this game, the visiting team has had a lot of success, especially in the last decade or so. Incredible success.
I don't in the last decade, and I'm going to interject this, Georgia's won 9 out of the last 11. So whether they're at home or on the road, it hasn't mattered. But historically, if you go from
maybe the back 20 years or whatever.
How about 100 years?
Right.
100 years. Right now, Georgia's won 9 out of 11, and now they lead. They lead the series by 2 games.
That's right.
That's it. So Auburn went on a long stretch there where they were dominating it, and now Georgia's done it. That's the thing that's been unusual about this series since Mark Richt came to Georgia.
Right.
Mark Richt's the only Georgia coach since the 20s to leave, retire, quit, get fired, or resign his position at Georgia and leave that school with a winning record against Auburn. And so if you look at the series, I remember all during the 80s and 70s and into the early 90s, They were dead even, folks. The record was dead even. And that goes back to what Brett was talking about the home team. Auburn would go to Georgia and beat Georgia. Georgia come to Auburn and beat Auburn. And, I think the rivalry in this game has gotten a little more intense. I think it's gotten, quite frankly, a little nastier. Yeah. When I was growing up in the 60s and 70s, Georgia and Auburn was kind of like fussing with your brother and sister. It was – on game day, it was a rough and tumble thing, but it was over with because Auburn still had to play Alabama, and Georgia still had to play Georgia Tech to win the conference, and there were so many ties between Frank Orgel and Pat Dye and Ben Stilley, and I mean you could just name a plethora because there's always been Georgia boys that played for Auburn.
Yep.
And
proximity, like I tell people,
sure,
you're an hour and a half to Auburn, you're an hour and a half to Athens. And when you and I grew up, I have tons of Auburn friends.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what changed it all to me. It's when Georgia Tech left the conference. Yep. Quite frankly, the Georgia people put all their angst on the Auburn game because Georgia Tech was irrelevant now except for national rankings.
That's right.
It didn't mean anything anymore. I personally want to see Georgia Tech come back into the conference. My two teams that I want to see bring into the conference on the eastern side are Georgia Tech and Clemson.
Oh, would that be great?
And on the other side, on the west, I'd like to see Texas and Oklahoma come in.
Oh my God!
And that to me, that would be the ultimate conference.
How are we gonna ever get to the big game with that kind of slate?
Well, that would be great to see. And listen, I think eventually down the road it's going to happen.
Probably.
Okay, all right, Junior. So we've talked about it. Let's roll with it. What you pick?
And it's going like what they call slobber knocker. It's going get my game face on. 23-17 Dolphins.
23-17.
And we beat the linebacker. Then?
You're in at 23-17. All right, so I'm going to give you.
Dog fans, don't sell me short. I think we're going to win bigger, but I'm trying to win the country.
Listen to him. Listen to him.
Just kidding.
Here are the intangibles in this football game to me. If you look on paper, and I think even more so if Cam Petway was playing for Auburn, defensively up front, I think Auburn and Georgia are very similar. I don't think either one of them has a championship-level secondary yet. I think they're both a little weak in that.
I agree.
If you look at Stidham and Fromm, Stidham played 4 or 5 games at Baylor 2 years ago. Then he got hurt and didn't play the rest of the year. He sat out all of last year. When you take a year off from football and you come back, it's basically like starting over. I don't care if you played 6 games at a school 2 years ago or not. So I think experience-wise at this level of football, these two guys have played about the same amount of games.
Pretty much a wash.
Yeah. Georgia has not had to throw the football down the field. I think they are. I don't believe the sidewalk alumni that I hear from other schools saying Fromm can't throw or doesn't have to. Hell, he ain't had to throw. He don't need to throw. He's run the football. Kind of been the same thing with Jared Stidham at Auburn. Auburn's really played 2 bad quarters of football. And both of those games against Clemson and against LSU, they should have won the LSU game. They certainly had a shot to beat Clemson, who was ranked number 1, number 2 in the country, number 1 the weekend they played them. Auburn got up to had 4 trips inside the red zone against Clemson and came away with 2 field goals. They could have put that game away in the first period of play. A Clemson defense that was very good. They put up 120 yards of offense in the first quarter. They did the same thing against LSU. I think Auburn has faced offensively better defenses than Georgia's has. I don't know if Auburn's faced any better of offenses they had. They're like opponents, Mississippi State. They both clobbered them. Right. It wasn't close. And I think this is going to be a game for the ages. I think Gus Malzahn is playing for his job at Auburn. He is 1-7 against ranked teams in his tenure at Auburn. And that would have been in 2013. He has got to come out and find a way. Now, against ranked teams, I'm talking about top 10 teams.
Right.
I think Gus Malzahn has something to prove. Can he do it? I don't know if he can do it or not. At this point, I don't have the faith.
See, that's
as an Auburn fan, I don't have the faith that he can do that. But I do think this game is different than any other thing that he's faced in his career at Auburn. Auburn is 0-3 against Georgia the last 3 years. The Auburn people want that to end. The Auburn players want that to end. It is in Jordan-Hare. It'll be 94,000 people. If you've never been, it's one of the loudest stadiums in the country. I think if anybody makes a mistake early in this game, then the other team is going to take advantage of that quickly. I think, personally, Auburn has to stop the streak against Georgia, and I think they do it this Saturday in a hard-fought game. And I am picking Auburn to win this football game 34-27.
Oh, wow. How's it going up there?
34-27.
We're glad it's not at night. Us dogs are glad it's not at night.
It is not a night game. Now, Notre Dame and Miami. I'm sorry. I grew up in the South. I despise Notre Dame and Ohio State and Michigan and USC and Penn State. I grew up disliking those teams. I can't pull for them. I'm sorry. I just can't do it.
Going with the U.
I'm going with the U. I think
the Catholics against the convicts.
Yeah, Catholics against convicts.
That was a great thing.
I think it's going to be a fantastic atmosphere. I think Notre Dame is going to meet probably the best athletes on the field that they've met since North Carolina State and Georgia. I think State had a bad game against them, but allow Wake Forest to score 38 points on you. I think that's a little telling, and I think that may have been some of the athletes on Wake Forest. I'm going with the U, and I'm going to pick Miami to win this game by a score of 20-17. That's my pick. Miami 20-17. I think it's going to be an athletic affair. I think it's going to be a hard-hitting affair. Miami's going to find a way to stop them from running the football, and I think they want to force the Notre Dame quarterback to have to throw the football and not use his legs.
Yeah.
He may be a difference maker.
I think Josh Adams is banged up. Their running back. I think he's banged up.
I think you're right. Anyway, that's my pick. I'm picking, like I said, Auburn to stop the streak against Georgia 34-27 and Miami to beat Notre Dame 20-17. All right, brother, one more time. Tell everybody how to watch you on Saturday.
It's Facebook, Brett Barron on Facebook. It'll be Facebook Live at 2 o'clock. It's called Dog Deck Live. Tune in. We have fun, and hopefully this man will be on the set.
It'll be a good time. All right, folks, that's going to do it here. We're live at Stoner's Pizza. We're going to wrap it up for tonight. Appreciate all your calls and your picks on the game. You still got time. Don't forget, you can reach us on Facebook at DSBN Sports, like us on Twitter at DSBN Sports, and always remember to go subscribe to our YouTube channel. That's going to do it. We'll see you next week, everybody. Our time is up. We thank you for yours.